we're getting an idea of how to do this.
Okay. Hey guys,
Hi.
Nathan Jingles from Better Climber. Today we want to talk about why people fall, or why specifically you may have fell.
Yeah.
Fallen? Falled?
Did the falling.
Felded? You felded? Like
did
a tree?
the falling.
Why you did the falling?
Yes.
Okay. I'm curious, because I know the answer, because I get it all the time. What is the most common excuse or reason why you hear, or when you hear from other people when someone falls and you ask them, why'd you fall? What do you hear?
Oh, I just missed the hold.
Yep, that is the most common, the thing that people say all the time, and it's also the least correct.
It really is.
I view missed the hold as the same as saying, I don't know, because you weren't paying attention to what your body does, which is completely common, especially early on in your climbing career when you don't know what to pay attention to.
Yeah, it's very normal and it's very reasonable, but it's also a cop-out as to what actually happened and the true reason as to why you fell.
It's lazy and unproductive. Lazy because you're not paying attention to what's going on, and it's unproductive because it doesn't get you to a point where you can say, oh, if I fix this, maybe I will get it. If I adjust this, then maybe I'll get closer, or whatever it is. You don't actually address the problem.
It's very simple. If you don't know why you fell, you just can't correct it. You can't do better on your next attempt and actually get the send.
Yeah, it's the same concept as, let's say you get into a car accident.
No,
please don't get into a car accident.
I'm not going to get into a car
accident. But if you get into a car accident, the first thing I'm going to not ask you is, oh, I can't believe you just hit something.
Right?
Or I'm not going to make that comment. I'm going to ask you, what happened? How'd you get in the car accident? And why did this happen?
The answer is not, well, normally it's not, oh, it was just an accident. Oh, I just wrecked. No, there's normally something happened to cause it. Were you speeding? Were you hydroplaning?
Did somebody hit you and you weren't responsible for it at all?
Exactly.
Did you get a nail in your tire? Your tire blow out?
It
or
just exploded everywhere?
Boom.
And then you went and wrecked? It could happen. But, I just got into a car accident.
There's something that led up to this thing. Same thing can be, how at least applies to climbing. So missing the hold can also be explained by sort of a technical issue with coordination.
Yeah,
but even then, I think I can make the argument that most of the coordination problems are not you just missed it, you just weren't paying attention. It can be resolved by, you need to look at the hold, which will fix a lot of the coordination problems. Or there's probably another technical issue that you can adjust, whether it be with your feet, your shoulders, your hips. And there's another one, but I'm going to argue later, that I think could also be a reason for the coordination as well. But that is the most correct version of I missed is coordination, which I still think can be explained off by another reason.
It's still a cop-out. So let's say we just dive into why you actually fall so these people can figure the thing out.
Yep, I think if we really try to figure out what people are doing, what they're missing, and so they can diagnose it themselves or for their friend.
Yeah,
that's going to be the thing. So that's what we're going to do.
It's going to be helpful.
I'll put them in the middle. All right. So we've already talked about why missing the hold because you just missed it is kind of stupid. So now we're going to talk about one of the main reasons why you generally miss a hold, and it's more importantly or most commonly because of your feet. Yeah. So what are some of the things? What are some of the things people say when they say their foot is the problem? What's the most?
Oh, my foot just slipped.
Your foot just slips, falls off, or whatever the reason. But
the question is, why did your foot slip?
Yes. So some people literally just miss the hold, which can easily be corrected by watching yourself go to the hold, which is why we focused on that in one of our previous videos. You watch your foot go to the hold. Now you eliminate the...
I missed it.
Yeah, you missed it. I just missed it because you weren't paying attention and weren't looking. Now you've missed the... now you've foregone the whole eye contact and eye foot hold contact issue. Now you can just be like, all right, I looked at it, so that's where it goes. So looking at it will generally just eliminate the whole I just missed it for no reason. Now you're starting to diagnose what actually happened with your foot, which isn't you just missed it. You can have foot slips because you stopped adding pressure into your foot.
Yeah, you dropped your heel.
Yep, and that's generally what you as a coach or a climber you should be looking for is like, what did the heel do? So when the heel drops, what is it that generally means to you?
to me, that means you stopped engaging in it. If you're not pushing into your toes anymore, you're not trying to stand up through your movement, you're relaxing, you're either being complacent or you're not paying attention. And so you just drop out, and then all of a sudden the heel comes down.
Yep. And when you watch here,
You notice that he's got the heel up, he's got the toe engaged, and then, oh, well, I got the next hold I was going for. And so you kind of relax a little bit, and then it drops off.
yep, and you can watch the heel drop off right through here.
Yeah.
And then when that falls off, you can, I mean, you can't necessarily see it in that video, but in this other video, you can watch when the heel drops, the hips will fall away as well. So that's the thing you need to pay attention to. So when the heel drops, that means you stop pressing into the foot, which means you've stopped actually engaging your body to actually use the foot you're trying to step on, which is what I see most common. Most people, when they try to stand up, they're thinking about where they are going and not where they were. And then they stop using their feet. And it's so obvious because the heel goes from being either parallel with the hold to above the hold to dropping.
Yeah.
And as soon as it drops, you're no longer using your feet appropriately.
Yeah. Classic story of forgetting where you came from.
So that's the big thing that I would tell people to look for, is watch those heels and see what they do. And so when the heel does drop, generally that means they're not pressing into it. But that's also dependent upon the type of hold you are using.
Right.
If you're standing on the biggest jug in the whole world and your foot is your heel is dropped down, then it may not be important enough for that you don't need to press into it as much. Maybe you can rest through that. But if you want to move, the heel should be up, especially when you're standing on even a decent sized hold, something that's really comfortable. Maybe you don't need just one foot, but you start getting on those bad feet,
and now your heel placement becomes far more crucial. And is it like, it's a really small foot, does it have a lip on it? Do you need your heel up? Is it kind of slopey? Do you need your heel down just a hair to get a little bit extra purchase with that friction? So that's when it starts getting a lot more interesting and technical. And fun.
And the more flat or less surface area there is, you do need to have your foot pressing through the hold into the wall, a lot like a smear. So your heel will drop. But even if your heel is, well, I don't want to say drop, I'm sorry. When it's pressed through the hold, like it is here, when you're pressing into that foothold, your heel will be down. But if you start to relax it drops, and you can easily see how you lose the pressure because your hips will fall away. Because once you press into your feet, that engages not just your calf and your leg muscles, but it engages your glutes, your butts, and which that then connects to your core and your posterior chain and your back and all the core that's up through here. So you use all of that, but the moment you stop pressing into it, it's so much harder to keep the rest of that body engaged, and it just falls apart. You can probably see that here in this video where we start to press up, and you can watch the hips fall away right here. So that drops off
really clear.
So that's the big one that I would say most people need to watch for, is watch what the heels are doing and just watch them and see if they stay engaged or if they drop off. And you can watch that happen in real time. It's pretty easy to see. To me, it's one of those glaring things that just screams at you. It's like, hey, you're not pressing into your feet.
And so also it becomes more obvious the more you get into good shape with your lower body, with your calves, with your quads, with your butt. I was having a conversation with a climber the other day who started doing more calf raises, and he was like, man, I can stay engaged on footholds so much better now. And I was like, that's because you can flex into it and engage through your body.
And doing that kind of thing, like just doing calf raises, I would say is one thing. But even if you start even doing, how do you say it without sounding like an idiot, weighted calf raises? Or I think not a weighted, extended calf raises. If you are pressing through and trying to reach as far as you can, maybe using a wall to press up against it, you can just extend all the way through, will get you really comfortable at the full extensions and making sure that your feet can stay engaged throughout the movement.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like it.
I like that a lot.
Really
And
neat.
that's why you should be paying attention to those footsies.
Yeah.
If the heels fall off, you're a stupid person.
Who knew that we would talk about how important your feet were again in a video?
Probably some nerd.
Did you really? Did you really?
I'm so sorry. I feel not bad at all about that, but I know how horrible it was.
You should be mildly embarrassed, but I'm also proud of you because that was pretty freaking good.
I'm sorry.
I love and hate you so much right now.
I am so sorry. That was horrible. Oh my goodness.
It was pretty nerdy.
Oh, you're such a dumbass. I hate myself.
You started it.
I hate myself so
I
much.
don't even want to hear it right now.
A few moments later.
So in addition to watching the foot, something else to pay attention to is this is kind of weird to describe. When your feet stop engaging, your hips fall away.
Yeah.
But if you're not watching the feet and the hips, you can
Oh,
sometimes watch the shoulders overcompensate,
Yeah.
and you can see them say tighten up a lot more. And maybe again, if you're only watching half the body, if you're
not going to see it.
yeah, you may miss it. But you can watch the shoulders. If they start to tighten up a little bit, maybe you can kind of refocus on the feet and be like, oh, were they the thing that slipped off? Or
So it can be pretty easy to pay attention to if you've actually ever watched like a new dude in the gym. We'll say the bodybuilder dude bro type.
dude, bro.
When they
dude.
do the big move and they go, yeah, and all you see is their legs flailing under them like crazy, like a cartoon character running in the sky.
We don't mean to make fun of you, but it is funny.
I'm making fun of you. It's okay. Because you're going to go, man, that was really accurate and rude, and I'm going to try and do better now. And so it's okay. But that's basically the way it looks, is when you don't pay attention to your lower body, your upper body is going to overcompensate and your lower body is going to flail.
Yeah.
Maybe not a drastic amount like the cartoon, but at least a little. Yeah.
Fred Flintstone thing.
100%
It's hilarious.
Fred Flintstoning when you're trying to do that dyno on a V5 because it's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, you watch the heels, and then you can also watch the shoulders to maybe see if the heels are the thing, or at least watch the upper body how much it overcompensates when the feet don't engage correctly.
Yeah. Because it will. You'll see it. You'll the elbows are going to start to come out just a little bit, and the feet are going to go, and you're going to get those sound effects now when you see it.
Yes,
it's going to be great.
That is exactly what happens. Like in real life, you'll hear the sound effect coming from them.
Yeah,
it won't just be here. We will all hear it as well.
100%.
And that is called schizophrenia.
Is it?
When you hear shit that's not here and see stuff is not there, it's schizophrenia.
Fair enough.
Ah.
So if you have that, seek medical attention immediately. So another thing that you can look at if you're paying attention to shoulders and how your shoulders are engaging is when you stop using your shoulders and engaging them properly, you are going to lose your ability to engage your core to your upper body.
Yep. One of the things that I know that we've talked about before and that I like to reiterate when we're talking about this, and that even may be more appropriate in the next section, is that you have to remember that the body is links in a chain. It is all linked together. So when one thing like the heel drops off, then you can see the ripple effects. You can see when the heel drops off, it pulls the hips away and the shoulders have to compensate.
Yeah.
In this case, when the shoulders start to disengage, you can watch the body start to fall apart from the top down as opposed from the bottom up.
Well, and it's like you almost, like when your shoulders disengage, you almost kind of turn into like a weird zombie looking climber on the wall. I really can't think of a different way to describe it with words.
Well, you can watch it here
Yeah.
where you can see as your shoulders disengage, the body just completely loses its ability to actually pull. So the feet may push too far over, or the body just sort of drops off, and because your feet are engaged, sucks the hips in, or at least controls the hips. But then the body looks like it's stretching apart, almost like what is it? The black holes. When you start to reach into a black hole,
You go over the
everything
event
starts
horizon.
to extend further and further. There's a bunch of ways that people in sci-fi have demonstrated that, and that's what I like this to describe it as, where the arms start to pull away from the body and you lose the ability to pull up.
Yeah,
and it just looks like you've completely like dropped out. So you're like, boom. You can see that here where as I'm trying to pull up, it just like the shoulders just look like they're not doing anything. So just not spaghetti arm, but you're just like,
it kind of seems spaghetti arm adjacent.
Yeah.
I would say that. I think that's a good way to say that.
Yeah, so the arms pull away from the body. It just sort of looks really awkward. It looks like they're actually struggling to move up when they're trying to.
It looks like you're like extending your arm out when you're trying to pull. Have you ever tried to do a pull-up without engaging your scapula first?
It's really weird.
It's so awkward, and I do not recommend trying it.
Could be fun, especially if you want to hurt yourself.
If you want to hurt yourself, solid plan. But I would recommend not.
So it's it also looks a little bit like you're trying to do a negative pull-up. Like you're trying to drop down and your muscles just slowly disengage and they fall apart and they drop down. The arms straighten out and it looks like you're trying to pull, like you're putting in effort, but nothing's happening. And then when that happens, you start to watch the body move away from the wall, because generally you're still trying to push with your feet. So your body leans really hard into those holds, or it pushes away from the wall and you're just extended, almost like you're trying to do straight arm climbing. The only problem is you're actually trying to engage and you're just failing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and it's like, it really looks like your butt is pulling you off of the wall.
Yep.
When you can't engage your shoulders. It's instead of your hands going into the black hole, your butt's getting put in there first. Yeah. I had a really black hole back on that one.
I had a really bad image. It's like having something attached to your butt in a string, and I'm just like, I'm pulling your butt plug.
You know, I've actually you don't pull it out like you're starting a lawnmower. That's lesson one.
Lesson one, don't do that.
Lesson one.
Oh my God, that's so disgusting.
I will say though, it's a pretty good training technique to put your harness on and clip a carabiner to the back of it and get a resistance band.
Oh yeah.
That's a really good training tool for keeping your hips engaged.
But we're talking about shoulders, so you just completely ruined
just,
that.
Cut that, put it somewhere else.
No, I'm going to put it in there and call you an idiot.
That's fine. You can call me an idiot.
Yeah. So the body looks the upper body in particular looks like it's very unstable and like it's just being sucked away from the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of those other things. It's one reason why we picked out the shoulders as well, to demonstrate. The second thing is what you're looking for, because it's so obvious to me. The heels, the shoulders, and then lastly, in a minute, when we're talking about the hips, watching those three things can pretty much tell you whatever's going on with the body, why it's falling off.
Well, and the reasoning behind that is because your shoulders, your hips, and your feet are primary pivot points of how you move, and pivot points are fail points.
Yep. So that's why you need to focus on the shoulders, whether it just be you climbing or when you're watching your other person. You watch the heels first, shoulders second, and figure out what it's falling off.
Yeah, because whatever falls off first is generally where the problem is. Generally, not always.
I really wanted to find a way to make fun of you for that, but it was just accurate, and I was like,
yeah. What up?
I can't.
I know. You know why you can't? Is because I've heard you say that like 75 million times. And I can't find any flaw in that logic either.
I just really wanted to make fun of you for it.
You just want to make fun of me. That's just what it is. He's a bully, and I respect him for it.
Alpha is bullying me.
Respecting me for my bully status.
Dude, let's be honest here. If you can be a creative bully, creative being the tagline on that one, you deserve respect.
Well, that's one of the things that I've told people for years now. I don't care if you want to make fun of me for being short. I just prefer you come up with something that I haven't heard so that I can actually enjoy it.
Right?
Like if you're just going to call me, it's like, oh, you look like a leprechaun. You're really short. You're a little dwarf. You're a little munchkin. It's like, I've heard all of that. It's just not fun. But you come up with something really cool, and I'm going to laugh my butt off.
How's the back of my knee smell? Because that's all the higher you are.
It's just weird.
It is weird.
That one's not even funny. It's just weird. Man, you're being a nerd.
I hate you guys.
I'm going to try and work that in as many times as I can.
I'm gonna throw them across the freaking room. It's gonna happen, but I'm also gonna eat one.
All right. The third most common thing that I like to try to look at is the core, which honestly I think it's the most difficult one to diagnose, which we'll get into in a minute. But the core is actually probably the easiest to see, but I still think it's the most difficult to diagnose. It's easiest to see because generally when the butt falls away from the wall, or falls away, what I think is more accurate, falls away from the move, is when the core has given out.
Yeah.
And there's really not a better way to describe it. The butt moves away from the wall. You can see it here. You can see how the butt just sort of like moves away and falls off, and it's like, what the fuck? The hands and the shoulders might still be being used, and the feet might still being used, but the hips just flip around. So one of the things that I think it's easy to see, but it's hard to diagnose the real problem. So the thing that's difficult, I think, to diagnose when it comes to the hips falling out is whether or not it's the core that's being used or failing to be used, or the posterior chain that's being used or failing to be used.
Yeah, well, the core and posterior chain is very hard to differentiate because both of them are right in the middle of your body.
And both of them can be used at the same time.
They should be.
And one could be used more. One thing that I was trying to describe earlier is that I think a lot of times when you are exploding and moving out and extending towards a move, I think most of the time that's the core being engaged, mainly because your arms are being used to help make a move. Yeah,
and you've got to keep your beautiful six-pack engaged.
I have one pack.
So that you can pull through that movement.
Yep. But once you establish a move or latch onto a move or get into a position, that's when the posterior chain has to really engage in order to maintain the moves. At least that's how I view it for most moves. And that's not 100% accurate, but I think if you look at it that way, then you're more likely to be able to diagnose what's the problem first. It could be both. So if you're extending out and coming away from the wall, it's probably your core, or maybe your shoulders, which we'll get into in a minute, but it's probably your core. If it's after you've tried to grab something, it's probably your posterior chain or something that is pressing into something. So maybe even your feet.
That's the thing, is it can be really hard to tell whether it is a core problem or a foot problem. Because most of the time when you're not engaging your core properly, your feet are the first thing to actually fall off the wall. Even though I said earlier the first thing that falls off is normally what's wrong, there's an exception to every rule. Right?
And trying to diagnose what the problem is with the core is very, very difficult, and it's very difficult to see. So if your hips are falling off the wall, it's almost too easy to say, hey, it's your core. Because the body is linked in those chains. You've got the lower body, you got the middle body, you got the upper body, is how I view it when I'm looking at it to try and diagnose problems. When the middle part falls away, it can be because you didn't press into your feet correctly, or it could even be because you're not engaging your shoulders correctly.
Yeah.
So the core itself may not be the problem. It just may be the only thing that you see, which is why I say it's hard to diagnose, because you really have to be paying attention to all three of them at the same time in order to figure out what the problem might be. And if a lot of times extending through and keeping the core engaged, if you can tell somebody, hey, suck your hips in, try to squeeze a little bit more with your core, then that will fix that problem. If they're falling off after the move, a lot of times really squeeze your butt cheeks together, really compress the back, squeeze a little bit that way as opposed to this way, using your back instead of the front part of your shoulders. That is a good way to just sort of see which one it is. So if they fall off and it's their hips going away from the wall and you can't always tell, you can always try one and then the other and see which one makes more of a difference.
And another thing you can do in that situation is, if you can't tell if it's core, shoulders, hips, or core, shoulders, feet, I'll say
you wanted to say head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
I
That's
did,
what you
but
wanted to do.
Focus.
Sorry.
If you can't tell whether it's, shoulders, hips, toes, scream through the entire movement, because it is practically impossible to scream and relax your core. Try it. Just try it. It's really, really hard. But that's also why a lot of people power scream. That's why power screaming is a thing, is because that can eliminate one of your fail points, potentially. It's not a guaranteed, it's not a 100% success rate deal, but it definitely allows you to eliminate possibilities of what happened and why it happened.
I can see that. Just screaming by itself automatically squeezes that core up and tightens everything. I mean, there's some mental things that we could talk about that screaming or exhaling loudly or intentional breathing can do to fix mental issues. But
that sounds like a different video.
That'll be a different video and one that I wouldn't mind having with somebody who's really good at breathing. I mean, I've been doing it way longer than you have, so I'm probably better at breathing than you.
I can run a lot longer than you can, though. So I would say my breathing is better.
Maybe.
So you may have more experience, but that can only take you so far. Just saying. If you want to see a foot race, comment below.
I'm just going to immediately give up right now. We're not even going to do that one.
Winner!
Yeah, so other than saying that it's difficult to diagnose and take some time, I'm trying to figure out some good ways to really explain.
Use planking. That's my thought. So you can tell the difference between how the front and the back engages. Or did I cut you off?
No, I think you're right. You can do. So one of the things that I think we even tried to film this, and it might be here, and I think it may turn out horrible. Maybe I'll show it right here or not. But we tried to film. So when you plank, you can hold your body up by focusing on either engaging your core the most or your posterior chain more. You can actively choose which set you want to do. And I think it was when we tried to engage the posterior chain more, the shoulders rolled up a little bit, almost like you were trying to build a bridge with the back of your muscles. And then when you used your core, it didn't really suck down like it's not as big of a deal like when you're doing cat-cow with yoga poses, but it's similar in the sense of how the body engages more. Your elbows go in a little bit more. The stomach goes down a little bit because you're tightening up and engaging, and then the shoulders sort of sink back just a little bit.
It was really awkward to get a video of.
Yeah.
Very awkward to get
and
a video
hopefully
of.
you're watching right now of how awkward it was. But that was something that we tried to do to try to show that at least how they can be disconnected if you wanted them to be. And it was weird. I definitely want to show it. But another way that we did decide on how to sort of diagnose the move or diagnose why the core is falling off is by looking at what the move is actually asking you to do. Again, the beginning of the move, more core related, the end of the move and stabilization is more posterior chain related. It doesn't mean that you get to relax one versus the other, but it's easier to see before generally core, after generally posterior chain. But you have to understand what the move is asking you to do. If I'm trying to do a lock-off move and extend really far out,
that's like all posterior chain.
That's all posterior chain after you get past the initial Gaston. After you get past the hips are in, then it's all posterior chain. The beginning part of that, even though, let's say the move from one hold into establishing on two hold takes 3 seconds. The core part of that is probably a half a second to maybe a second, and then the rest of it is 2 seconds. So the percentage-wise, that's generally what you're looking for as far as what that specific move is asking you to do, how the body is engaged. And when you're trying to do like more undercling moves, then you're definitely going to be engaging the core way more often and throughout the move more than the posterior chain as a combined unit. So if the hips start to fall out, it's probably because you're not sucking your hips up and in, using your core to tighten the body up.
Yeah, and so the other thing, when you're trying to figure out why you fell, you've also got to consider what kind of terrain you're on and what move you're trying to do. And it makes it, honestly, to me, it makes it really fun because it's a never-ending puzzle. Why did you fall? Let's figure it out. You know?
It's a fun one, especially trying to figure out core. So as an issue as far as how to fix the core stuff in particular, one of the things that I found is the easiest thing to say to somebody is to squeeze their butt cheeks.
Yeah.
When they're trying to make a move.
It's really hard to relax your core when you're squeezing your butt cheeks.
Yep. So if you go ahead and do it right now, I know we've shown it on
Squeeze
another
them.
video, but I want you to stand up and then just sort of relax your body and then squeeze your butt cheeks and then watch what happens. Your hips immediately move forward. I wanted to say suck in, but that's only there's a wall there. They move forward and your back straightens up a little bit almost immediately once you start doing that. So even if you cannot figure out if it's the core or the posterior chain that has fallen off, that is something that you can recommend or try and figure out or feel which one is the one that's falling off. But if you do that, that automatically brings things in and up and tightens everything up. So you can try that and see. I really like that one. I know it sounds hilarious to say, oh, squeeze your butt cheeks.
So the last thing we're going to talk to you guys about is strength. So strength is an aspect of falling, but it's generally not the answer as to why you fell.
It's generally something you want to use as not necessarily the last resort, but after you have done all the other things. If you checked off that your feet are being used appropriately, or you're pressing into them correctly,
your
that
shoulders are staying engaged for you,
and that your core and your posterior chain are staying engaged, then you can really look at strength as okay, I'm not strong enough to do this move yet.
Yeah, I need to actually work out to be able to pull this off.
Stop being a bitch, come on.
And the cool thing about strength too is that it's something that you can build while you are learning to climb or while you're climbing as well.
And that's one of the reasons why we focus on technique before strength training, is because if you are fixing your technique, you're building strength. You can, as you learn and as you practice, you build strength.
Yeah, especially if you're practicing the way we ask you to in kind of slow increments. So you're learning how to shift and stand. Okay, well, now you do that for a week. Well, now instead of focusing on trying to do this for a week, now you're sort of relaxing a little bit. Now your fingers can get stronger while you're holding on, practicing and doing that. If you build slowly, then you're going to end up getting the strength you need, at least in the short term while you're learning. If you're further along, then maybe it's something that you need to work on while you're fixing your technical issues.
Yes.
So a good example is, let's say you're weak in your shoulders. You have a really hard time doing a pull-up. Well, in addition to climbing and working on maybe straight arm climbing or sloth climbing, maybe you figure out that, okay, I need to get stronger here, so I'm going to actually go do exercises that build up the strength of your shoulders.
Yeah, because if your shoulders are strong, they can stay engaged. If you have stronger legs, because you've been doing your squats the way you're supposed to, you're more likely to trust the pressure you're putting into your feet, because, well, you have that strength there. You can actually stand on a thing.
Yes, and when it comes to your core, if you're finding your core is constantly falling out, your posterior chain is falling out, well, you can now do exercises to work on those. How many core exercises and posterior chain exercises are out there that you can actually work on to build that muscle if you're lacking that?
I don't even want to try and count. That's a big number. It's a big number.
So you can build your strength while you train. I tend to think that if you focus more on strength than you do technique, that you kind of hurt yourself in the long run. And I realize that can be, let's call it controversial.
You can go back and forth on it.
Yes, and I can see the arguments for both. If you're stronger, then a lot of times the ability to do something becomes easier. It's a little bit more comfortable. You're uncomfortable in more like stretched out, awkward positions if you have that strength. So I understand that.
And an argument the other side is, if you have to take time off of climbing for some reason or another, because we all end up in a position like that, atrophy is going to set in. You're going to start getting a little bit weaker, but the technique is going to come back almost right away. It's going to take a week to relearn your technique. It's going to take a couple months to get your strength back where it was.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I know that strength is important to climbing. You're never going to hear me say that it isn't.
No.
It's just that I like to focus on technique first, and then you can build the strength to fix it. So again, like if you don't have the strength for a thing, you could build the technique.
The strength. Yeah. But it's a big, kind of comparison of Magnus, Mitmo, and Eddie Hall.
Yeah.
Magnus, don't get me wrong, his specialty is climbing. He's worked the technique. He's strong as hell. oh my God, that guy is insanely strong.
How many times have you
And-
seen him in his videos doing not just climbing stuff, but he's got like all these adventure races things.
Yeah.
He works with what's that strength guy? Eddie Hall. Yeah.
Yeah.
He works with him all the time to show different things. And those two are a really good comparison for me about why I think technique is generally better than strength when it comes to climbing. Because Eddie Hall would destroy me with one hand, just pressing me down without even trying.
Yeah, he would fold me like a paper airplane every day out of the week if he grabbed me. I can run pretty fast.
But if you compare some of the things that Magnus shows versus what Eddie and when Eddie Hall is available, Eddie is super strong, and I cannot say it enough that how impressive the guy is with his strength.
Yeah.
But if you try to do some of the other things that Magnus can do with some of these endurance races and things like that, I think Eddie Hall would fall very, very short. He's just got way too much bulk, way too much mass, way too much strength.
Yeah, he's definitely specialized.
And climbing, I think, lends itself to other sports, to helping yourself at other sports than just building strength. And that's kind of the point on this comparison. It's not that Eddie Hall can't do a thing. The guy's amazing, and I definitely respect him. But Magnus can branch out and do other things more easily because of his technique, his strength, and his build and his endurance on focusing on the total package, as opposed to if all you do is focus on strength and you lose it. So comparing that directly to climbing, if you're focused only on building your shoulders up, well, then maybe that limits how flexible you become. Maybe that limits how long you can actually hold on to something, because now you have so much mass, so much shoulder strength, so much power that, yeah, you can do 5 or 6 moves, but maybe you can't do 25.
Well, that's just, climbing is a battle against gravity.
Yeah.
So
you're constantly trying to balance
when you
that.
bulk up too much, it's just harder to pull.
Yeah, and if you slim down too much, then you don't have the strength and the power or the energy reserves always to run through a bunch of those moves that you need to do. Maybe you can't do 20 moves because you haven't eaten in a while, and now you just don't have the energy reserves you need.
Yeah,
so
it's a very delicate balance.
Yeah,
and one of the things that makes it fun.
You made an interesting comparison with technique with motorcycles.
Yeah, so
which I thought was really interesting.
It's part of the reason why we talk about technique over power and strength is because, like, if you're riding a motorcycle, you can take a super powerful bike and turn it very slow around corners all the time, but you're not using that bike to its full potential. I've got a pretty powerful sport bike, and I love ripping corners. Well, I had to work on the technique going slow and figuring out the balance points and what the bike is capable of before I could actually put the power into the pavement and lean down into a corner and seriously push that bike to what its limits are.
I thought that was a really cool analogy of trying to compare strength versus technique, because once you have the power, well, if you don't know how to use it, then it's
useless.
Then you just have it. You're like, okay. I really enjoyed that analogy. I thought it was fun to try to compare those, and I was like, because you can just have the power and then not know how to use it, and now it's freaking useless.
And that's fine. You look good. There's nothing wrong with looking good. I think I'd look good in a Lamborghini.
I don't pull off looking good.
I think I would look good looking out of a Lamborghini as well. Just saying. It's an opinion.
So when it comes to strength, build it, use it, just make sure that it's practical for what you are trying to achieve.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that brings us to a close on why you fell, at least the main points of it.
Yeah.
Again, just sort of a round this whole thing out.
Yeah.
So to kind of bring everything back in to perspective here, try and focus on what your body is doing through the move. So you can start focusing on that. You'll be able to diagnose what the actual problem is much faster and get better results much quicker than just trying to solve a problem haphazardly.
Yeah. It's not always that you just missed the hold. It's not always that, I'm just not strong enough. if you look at the key points of failure that we've highlighted throughout this video, the shoulders, your feet, your hips, you can tell a lot better whether it's, okay, you're obviously not strong enough to do this move because it's just too powerful for you, or you could do it better and you could get this move.
I think you should generally assume that you should learn how to do something better before assuming that you are not strong enough to make the move. Now that could be the case, and I'm not saying don't get strong at all. I'm saying go get strong, be strong, do what you want to improve yourself in general. Your general body health is a great thing to focus on. I am not a prime example of that, but if you can focus on what you are actually doing wrong first, and then focus your strength training around where you need to be stronger, that's going to lead you to much more success much faster, and you're going to be much safer about that.
Yeah, you're going to be way less injury prone.
Which
significantly less.
Which is, again, our goal. Try to help you be better for as long as you want to climb.
Because let's be honest here, even if a small injury, it takes you out of climbing for 2 weeks. Man, 2 weeks without climbing kind of sucks for me. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's for me. Climbing's a big deal.
It's a big deal
in my life.
It's a real big deal.
So stop not paying attention to what you're doing. That's focus number 1. Number 2 is don't make strength your main priority as far as trying to get better, and focus on your heels, your butt, and your shoulders. If you can watch those 3 things, pay attention to those 3 things, you can figure out where you're falling from first, and then you can make adjustments to improve faster, safer, and you can just be...
He's going to do it again.
A nerd.
Son of a bitch.